Hello, and let's talk all things about Flipboard. We're going to dive in and you're going to decide for yourself if it's something that you want to do and have time to do. So let's cover a little bit of basis with Flipboard. Flipboard is a newer platform. They've been around for a couple of years. Originally, it started with a lot of food bloggers and travel bloggers creating content, but because of Google's algorithm update oops steps that they've been just flipping over on creators, a lot of people are asking the question, what is Flipboard? How is it going to help me drive traffic to my site? What do I need to know about it? And I've been testing it for the last 2 months. So a little bit into March, got everything set up, April, and now we're coming into May. So I'm going to take you behind. First, we're going to go over what Flipboard is. I'll take you to my profile. I will show you everything that I've done, how to create different magazines, which I'm going to compare it a lot to Pinterest because it's a great way to compare because most content creators are on Pinterest. And then from there, I'll take you behind my strategy, what I've been using, the statistics behind it. And again, a lot of it comes down to if you want to test it out for yourself and if you have the time and the bandwidth to test it. Because when it comes to content creation, you want to focus on creating the valuable content for your readers. So many people went onto Pinterest and they got so much traffic from pins, but when the Pinterest algorithm changed, they came to Google, and now we're seeing the same thing with Google. So with content creation, the most important thing that you can do is diversify your traffic. And because more content creators are going to Flipboard, you are seeing things outside of the food and travel. There's a lot more parenting articles on there. There's a lot more homeschooling articles on there. There's a lot more Christian-based homesteading. There is a diversity of demographics that are showing up on Flipboard. So I'm going to share my screen with you. We're going to go behind the scenes of my Flipboard profile. I'll also show you the main screen. Flipboard, okay, first caveat, Flipboard does have an app if you want to download it on your phone. The one thing I don't like about the Flipboard app is you only see one magazine title at a time. And so your thumb's going to get a lot of exercise going up and up and up and up and up and up and up just to try to find relevant articles. And the reason why I like desktop a lot is because it's more of the magazine layout. And so you can kind of pick and choose. And in my personal experience, flipping on the desktop is a lot faster than flipping on the mobile device. But it's up to you, whatever strategy you want to use. So let's share the screen and I won't get too caught up ahead of myself. When you log into Flipboard, this is what you'll see. When you create your account the first time, you'll put in a lot of interests, like things that you like. If you focus on the interests of what your content is around, it's going to help you find the content to reshare. With Flipboard, they like a curated flip, so they're all about community. So for example, the strategy I use is for one flip I create, I flip someone else's. Okay, so with the Flipboard, let's give my laptop just a quick second. They're all about community. So with every one flip, you want to do someone else's flip. And that's perfectly okay. From what I've experienced, sharing other people's will help improve your storyboards and magazines. Storyboards are usually several articles put into one, so that way it's more specific. So with these are different articles. The nice thing about Flipboard is when you see an article and you click on it, it goes directly to the article source, where in Pinterest, people usually have to click on the pin, and then from the pin, they have to click open or read. And so there's multiple steps, but with Flipboard, it's just one step. So these are all different articles. And as you can see, something that you'll want to know is this one is 2 hours, 1 hour, 1 hour, 6 days. This one's October 20th, 2023. So Flipboard does take and share into account when your article is published. They do value fresh articles. So anytime you have a new post go live, flip it right away. If you are using Chrome, they do have a Flipboard extension, which I highly recommend you download because it'll make things so much easier. I know, at least for me, on my social media plugins, that there is not a flip option on social yet. but I'm sure as Flipboard gains popularity, there might be one eventually. But if you're wanting an easy way to flip, go ahead and get the Chrome extension. If you don't use Chrome and you don't want to use Chrome, I understand. You can easily come here and create a flip, or on your profile page, the edit button down here. And by clicking the edit button, it'll give you a chance to update the title of the magazine, the description of the magazine, and that is where you'll find the URL at the very bottom. Okay, so yeah, you'll see add something new, and then here's the URL. So right now I've got kid-friendly drinks, and I just have that one post in there. But going to the homepage with Flipboard, as you can see, it does share your publishing date. So if you do have fresh content, get it out as soon as you can. If you have old content that you want to get out, I know some content creators will update their date in WordPress, so that way it does give the appearance of, quote, fresh. So that way it does have that 1 hour, 1 day time frame versus something that was published back in 2023. And psychology wise, our mindset goes and looks at that time frame, and the younger it is, the more we think it's up to date and fresh versus having an older date with content. We feel, at least as users, that we have more outdated information or it's considered, quote, old. Okay, so if you're in the homesteading niche, you want to create content based on what your people are interested in. If your people love recipes, have specific recipe boards on there. If your people still love traveling and want to see all the famous Buc-ee's around the US, have a Flipboard for that. It's okay to have Flipboards, or it's okay to have boards that are in different industries, because what that does is it creates a system where it's healthy for your board. It creates a diversity. And from there, you can share some of the best resources for your people. So when I started, everything was at 0. And the wonderful thing about Flipboard is the number of followers does not equal the number of traffics. So right now, I'm just following a few people at a time. I think I was doing like one every other day for a while. And then the likes doesn't really equate to traffic. And I'll show you in my Google Analytics what my traffic has been like for the last 90 days. So a like is when people just click on that heart and they leave a comment, and to plus something means to flip something. So if you're on Flipboard on the mobile device or on desktop, when you see this plus, you can, okay, so let's do 15. So if you click on the plus sign, you're going to flip it. And we'll put this in our homesteading board. And then if you want, you can add a caption. When I reflip something, I don't add captions, and that's perfectly fine. I recommend adding captions for your own content to get people interested, because you'll see the conversation up here. Let's see if we can find one with a conversation. So as you can see, most people actually don't comment, but here, this one has a comment. So when people say, hey, do you want to comment on a flip, or do you want to say something? This is what it would look like. And I don't know off the top of my head if hashtags have any relevance to it. I've not tested it. From my experience, Flipboard has been really good about taking a look at your title and your meta description, or at least the first few sentences from your post that it'll pull and show up. And so Flipboard is really great for the content and knowing exactly what it is that you're putting up here. So this is the storyboard that we were trying to click and talk about earlier. Clicking on the storyboard, there we go. That one works out really well. So here's the person that created the storyboard, and here are all the different, essentially, flips put together. So for this one is called Cubism and its influence, and each of these articles is about Cuba and art. So same with the other storyboards, if we were to go in and find a storyboard. So if you think of flip as an article, so like these are the flips, and if you had multiple flips, so let's go, we'll go into, let's see if I have enough content into all things Mother's Day. If I don't, I know I can go into some of so here's some things for Mother's Day. There's about 6 flips in here. So if I were to take all of this and I created, and I were to put them all together, that would create a storyboard. And then I can go ahead and flip the storyboard. And that information would then, having storyboards would appear also here. Right now, I don't have any storyboards. So magazines are down here. And there's also group magazines, followers right here. When it comes to creating your Flipboard, go ahead, put in your profile. Most people just put in their names or their blog names, put in a little bit of a description, and then start creating magazines using category-like keywords. So that way you can know what that magazine is all about. Other people will know what it's all about. So there's, for example, family traveling on a budget, getting healthy for moms, getting ready for newborns, raising teenagers, early childhood education. There's free coloring pages, patriotics, anything to do with 4th of July, Memorial Day. So essentially there's a lot comparative to Flipboard and Pinterest. It's just a difference of how you're interacting with the platform. With Pinterest, you create a pin, it goes out. With Flipboard, you're creating an article to flip onto a magazine, essentially, or you're creating a flip. So what I ended up doing for Flipboard is when I first started, I would flip about 3 to 5 of mine and then 3 to 5 of other people. So I would always do 1 for 1. And I did this for about a good solid 2 weeks. And I wouldn't update my dates. I would just leave them as is, but I would update more based around holidays and gearing up. So around then it was, as you can see, it was Easter, it was St. Patrick's Day, Mother's Day we just had and got to celebrate. And so in a little bit, I'll be starting to do Memorial Day and Father's Day. The nice thing about Flipboard that is not said about Pinterest, with Pinterest, you're always told to be the Costco of your industry, get your content out there fast and soon. So that way it has time to marinate and be there. With Flipboard, you can literally flip content the day of the holiday and it'll still get out there just as you did like 5 months ago or 7 months ago. In fact, if you're flipping Christmas stuff right now on Flipboard, it's going to show up in people's feed. People are going to be like, why should I be reading Christmas stuff? We're just getting ready to go into Memorial Day or we're getting ready for Father's Day. So the wonderful thing about Flipboard is it is literally time in, day of. You don't have to plan ahead. You don't have to schedule out or worry that you're not going to hit that, insert holiday deadline. You can literally take your time getting the flips out there that you need for your audience. So go ahead and if you're brand new to Flipboard, create a profile, create 3 to 5 magazine ideas. You can go into your WordPress or your blog's category settings, see what you have there, see what content is doing currently really well on your site or ways or content that you have email freebies from, and get them out here on Flipboard. We'll go to free coloring pages. So these descriptions, so for this one, it's free coloring pages. The description, I have a prompt in Chat GPT. I'll put it in the Facebook group. You guys can use it, copy and paste it and use it. But essentially, it is just a quick 2 to 3 sentence summary of what the board is. Now, with Flipboard, the one thing that I'm still getting used to with Flipboard, anytime you add a new flip in, this back cover page changes, but you can edit it and rechange it back to something else. So if you wanted a different coloring page sheet, you can pick something else and click save. But just be aware that your background for your magazine tends to change quite often, but it's not something you really need to worry about. From a user standpoint with Flipboard, people more often than not will go on their mobile devices and will flip from there. And most of the time, as a user experience, people are coming on, they're scrolling, and if they see an article, they'll either flip it to save it or they'll flip to click to read it. It's never a concern about coming on and saying, oh, I wonder what their magazine background is, or oh, I wonder what, XYZ might look like for them, or oh, I wonder if they have their profile optimized. With Flipboard, it is a bit more difficult to gain followers because they don't make it easy to have people add you as followers, because their main focus, Flipboard's main focus, is delivering great content to people, satisfying that user intent. But like I said, again, a low number of following does not equal traffic. Everyone starts off on the basic playing field. Everyone starts off as equals. Some content creators I know end up doing 20 flips a day, 10 theirs, 10 other people's. Like I said, for me, I started off with 3 to 5 a day, of 3 to 5 of mine, 3 to 5 to others people, so about 10 a day. And the reason why, again, I say do it on desktop is because when you look at the homepage, you're scrolling, you see a lot more options, and you're just flipping what you feel would be relevant to your readers after you flip from your own page if you're using the Google Chrome. So it literally takes anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how fast you want to flip and how detailed you want to be and what you want to flip on. So with group magazines, the one thing I love about group magazines, we'll go into Happy Holidays, is it gives you a broader reach to reaching other creators and other profiles and people. And Flipboard is very much community based. When it comes to flipping, if you are on group boards and if you leverage group boards, the strategy that I was taught by another creator is always flip onto a group board, since group boards tend to have more followers and more people on them, so more eyes. And from there, what you could do, that's exciting, 5 flips, yay. So what you would do is you'd flip your article onto a group board, and then from the group board, you would come in and flip it onto your relevant boards from there. Again, like I said, for every 1 flip, you would want to do someone else on the homepage. So if you say you did 5 flips, go onto the main page, do 5 flips of someone else's. And if you're interested in joining any of my boards, let me know and I'll send you an invite link. I've got one for homesteading, I've got one for printables, I've got one for homeschool moms, I've got one for food, if anyone's a Cricut creator or a silhouette creator. So any of these, let me know and I will add you to them. Unfortunately, I don't own these group boards, so I would need to contact the creators to see if we can get you added on there. But if you have any questions about Flipboard, please either ask in the chat or feel free to or send me a DM on Instagram at the Micah Klug. I'm more than happy to talk with you. Flipboard, like I said, is very similar to Pinterest. It's just one less step people have to take to get to your amazing content. And the nice thing that I personally love about Flipboard is it allows you to have your titles or your categories be more human. At least for me, I fear as a content creator, we got so worried about having an optimized headline or an optimized title, like, Mother's Day just passed away or passed over. So like 50 Mother's Day quotes for sister-in-laws, where here, I mean, from Slate, you says, help, I rescued a man and fell off a cliff. I never imagined it would change my life this way. It's not, where are the keywords in that? It's more based on articles. It's more based on that storytelling. It's more based, or, 11 surprising foods that are better than a therapist. Something like this, if you wanted to Google optimize, would be, 25 healthy living foods for better, for better health or whatever it might be. These right here, the ones that you have, casserole recipes that'll drive your family wild, you would never find those headlines in Google. They are very much, okay, like this one, 14 videos to watch for Mother's Day. Would you rather click on that, or would you rather figure out the casseroles that'll drive your family wild? Do you see where the storytelling and the experience-driven curiosity comes between these 2 articles? Now, I'm not saying 14 videos to watch for Mother's Day is a bad headline, but it could be changed in a way to say Mother's Day videos you'll actually want to watch, or Mother's Day videos that'll make you shed a tear or that'll make you cry. Those storytelling headlines work on Flipboard, they work on Pinterest, and honestly, if you look at the feeds on Google, these storytelling headlines that are curiosity piquing, that are shocking, that are driving you to be curious to say, what was that change? What is that one thing? Okay, so this headline, wife wonders if she is wrong to expect a nice gesture from her husband on Mother's Day. It's like, okay, it paints that, black and white bad guy versus good guy picture. It's like, what is going on with this, struggle between this husband and wife? It makes you, and then it has this quote here. Yeah, this is just very much, if it reminds you of the BuzzFeed clicks and quotes, this is very much it is, but it gets the clicks. I'll show you on my profile. So go ahead, an exercise I love to do, and I recommend this to all my clients, is scroll through, and if a title makes you stop, write it down, and just, go through, scroll, write titles that make you stop and want to click. So like the foods that are better for you than a therapist, like that title I would have written down. Go through and write them until you have about 10 to 25, depending on how much time you want to spend doing it. From there, you want to dissect those titles. What is it that makes you want to click? Are there common words? Are there common themes? Is it a curiosity pique? Is it an urgency that they're creating? Is it a mystery? Is it a benefit? And so let's see. See if we can get. Actually, I'll just dive into my analytics. We'll see what we got in here, see if there's any titles. So analytics, it reflects 30 days, but it never tells you the exact day for day frame, which is one of the things that I don't like about it. But the thing I do like about it is it'll tell you which magazines flipped. And I'll show you my Google Analytics, because this is not at all a reflection of my Google Analytics, because it also takes into account, so like for the foods, it also takes into account the flips that you created for other websites as well. So with that in mind, this gives you a chance in your analytics to see what people are flipping, how many people saw it, their click-through rate. And what you can do is you can come on to the more popular flips, open it up. KitchenAid just announces to its product. You'll use it every day. Okay, what is something I'm going to be using every day? Is it actually something I'm going to be using? Is it something I'm going to be like, oh my goodness, take my money, here it is? But as you can see, oh, a tea kettle, that's so exciting. Okay, so I think we need a tea kettle because we make a lot of hot chocolates. Anyway, different story. As you can see, headlines are changing. They're not going just the boring, bland, optimized for Google anymore. People want storytelling. People want that curiosity. People are naturally in it for themselves. They want to know what's in it for them. Is it going to save them time? Is it going to save them money? Is it going to make them money? Is it going to make them have more time? Is it going to save them on their marriage? Is it going to save them in their sanity with their families? If you can pull out a benefit for what they need and why they want it, you're going to get a fantastic headline. So as you can see, for these boards, the food news got the most URLs, and we saw the KitchenAid tea kettle one got it. Homesteading is another board that had a lot of URLs, and we can see most of them. Let's see what the title was for that one that peaked. Homeowners warn against planting common garden herbs after learning this lesson the hard way. Okay, so by far my biggest gardening mistake. That was the title, and then you're going to go on and see what the mistake is to make sure that you're not making that same mistake. Something also to notice with your analytics is your magazine follows. So how many followers got. So the early childhood education didn't have a lot of opens, but you can see from here. Okay, so you can see from here the flips, the likes, the shares. You can also take a look at your data versus phone versus tablet. A lot of your people are going to be on the phone when they flip, which is why it's really, really important that you are getting those headlines correct. It's okay to have those storytelling headlines. You're not writing for Google anymore. You are writing for your people and your audience, and getting those headlines will get you those clicks. Now, if you are still worried about Google and what your headline is going to look like in the Google search. If you're using the Yoast plugin, you can scroll down and you can change the SEO title for Google. But I would recommend you testing out some of those storytelling headlines for not only Flipboard and Pinterest, but also for Google. And if you do test it, get it out there, wait 90 days and see if there's any clicks on it. Just make sure it's not a holiday post, because if you're posting content for Christmas, you always obviously want it to ride out through Christmas. But if it's an evergreen post, wait those 90 days, wait those 180 days, see if it helps you increase in that search ranking, having that storytelling headline. And if it doesn't, go ahead and change it to more of an SEO friendly Google post if you're still after Google traffic. But you will find that your storytelling headlines will do far better than any just keyword optimized headline, because people want that storytelling. They want that curiosity standpoint. So this is Flipboard. So if you have any questions about optimizing your profile, about creating magazines, about flipping, please let me know. Like I said, again, I love doing it on the desktop because it saves so much time. And then from creating content, I love getting the Flipboard Google Chrome extension and flipping on there. And trust me, from someone that used the Google Chrome versus creating flips through the URL with the editing button on the magazines, Flipboard tends to be a little bit tenacious in its URL pulling. And so the headache that I would have is I would copy and paste a URL into the magazine and it would see error, error, error. And so I had to do it about 5 or 6 times before it actually pulled from my site. Where when I started using the Flipboard Chrome extension, I had no issues with it at all. If Flipboard ever goes down for you, and it does from time to time, especially as the high influx of people are coming on, which is fantastic, because the more diverse Flipboard users are, the more your content is going to be seen to other people. If you ever wonder if Flipboard is down, there is an app called Down Detector. It's free. Go ahead and download it. I have it on my phone, and I have it for Flipboard. I have it for Pinterest. I have it for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, WordPress, Big Scoots, ConvertKit. I have all of my websites that I use for my business and personal on there, and I have them under favorites. So that way, if I am having a hard time with making a flip or creating a storyboard, which I need to do actually, but if I am having a hard time using the Flipboard platform, I just go to the Down Detector app. And then I can see, okay, it's down. I'll try this again in half an hour. And so that makes it a lot easier to know, rather than to think that it's me on my end to think, oh my goodness, this isn't working. When in reality, it's just their systems. So the nice thing, okay, for alerts, so the nice thing is the data, which I'll share, but, oh, there goes my computer again. Okay, so come on, computer, you can do it. So with the alerts, you can look at social and you can look at content. Oftentimes, you will get things for your profile, which I really like, but you'll also get it for the people that you're following, which can help you, but not really per much. But it's often the things that don't help are when your people that you're following are flipping stories. The reason it doesn't really help is because it's just showing you what other people are doing. But when you find something like a story gaining traction, then you know that that is an interest that the Flipboard users are having. So I don't spend too much time in notifications. Oftentimes it's just to look for my picture profile, like, here it is, adding 10 stories to your magazine. But more often than not, the notifications really don't help. So you really just don't spend a lot of time there more than anything else. But let me pull up my statistics. Let's see. So I have, okay, so 2 weeks after using Flipboard, let me pull in these images. So I started taking screenshots, and with the 2 weeks, so 2 weeks into Flipboard, I created 18 magazines. I had 2 followers. I was in 3 group magazines, and I had 79 flips. So when I first started flipping, I would do between 3 to 5 of mine, 3 to 5 of others. It was always a 1-for-1 exchange. And I would do it every single day. So that was 2 weeks, what my profile looked like. And then my analytics data, 2 weeks, It was one URL open. It was like, and it was a St. Patrick's Day. It was like right before St. Patrick's Day. It was like, okay, this is fantastic. And then April's data brought 8 followers, but I had 250 flips. So the flips were increasing. And if you remember, the flips count for the things that are on your board, and they do count for not only your content, but other people's content, because Flipboard is very much all about community, and it is all about helping others. It's not at all a selfish platform. With that, it was 5 URLs open. So you can see there was a lot more boards. Magazines were opens were getting up there. And then May 1st data, I took a screenshot. And by then I had 52 followers. I was following 13 people. I had 436 flips. But here is the Google Analytics data, and these are the last 90 days. And if you saw the last 30 days of analytics, I'll pull that back up for you. They're starting off was 1 to 5 URL opens, and it was raw honesty going into it. I wish it would have been a Cinderella story to tell you guys, hey, this is going to be amazing. But the reality is some things just take time, and some things are going to do great where others aren't. But here's where I'm going to show you with the Google Analytics data, because Flipboard is worth doing if you're wanting another source of revenue. URL opens, as you saw with the food news, it was someone else's website. But by flipping other people's content, and by sharing other people's things, this is the data that I was able to get from my Google Analytics for myself. It was well over 100 page views to my own site. And I just put 90 days. I had no account on Flipboard, but for the last 90 days, it was 100 page views. Let me had a bit of a higher engagement rate, especially they had Flipboard referral, Flipboard not set, Flipboard.com, but there was a lot of events. There was more engaged times per session. People clicked, they came on, they saw what they wanted, and they hopped off. But going from seeing that 1 URL open to the 2 URL open up to 100 page views, going into the data and the traffic, when you share other people's content along with your own, it pushes yours out as well. Now, when it comes to Flipboard, you don't have to spend all day on it. You don't have to focus on all the different strategies. You are literally, if you create a system to make it easy for yourself, which you can do, it will drive traffic to your site over time. So the easiest thing to do is first and foremost, create yourself a Flipboard account. Put in, because when you get on there, it'll ask you what your interests are. Put in the interests that are relevant to your website and to your content. And the reason for that is because it's going to make finding flips a lot easier. From there, you will create from 3 to 5 magazines. And then from your website, it's up to you if you wanted to flip older content to get it out there, or just make flips as you get new content published to your site. If you decide to flip your old content, I highly recommend you go ahead and update that publishing date so it is that 1 hour, 12 hours, or 1 day freshness, because Flipboard does prefer fresh content. But flip other people's and flip yours, and then go ahead and flip other people's. Even doing 5 flips or 10 flips, you don't have to feel like you have to do everything, but go ahead and do what works best for your schedule. Like I said, when I first started, I was doing 10 flips total a day, 3 to 5 of mine, 3 to 5 of someone else's. And for me, that 100 page views, the last even 60 days, it wouldn't even be 90 days because I didn't start until St. Patrick's Day. So these last 2-3 months, 100 page views, that's just the beginning. I'm excited to see where it's going to go from there, but it is another source of traffic to my website. If I went ahead and did more flips per day, And unfortunately, there's not a way that at least I found to schedule it out. It's more of live flipping. So I go ahead and set about 15 minutes of my time to do those. But if I went ahead and flipped more and it was fresh content and I worked on those headlines, yeah, that would be really exciting to see what that would do for page views. So the tweaks that I'm making in my own business is I am doing more of the storytelling headlines and I am doing more of those curiosity peaks. And I do have an assignment board where if I find a title that someone posted out, I put it in my copywriting board for inspiration, not to copy them, but to draw inspiration from them to say, how can I use this for my content? How can I use this for my industry or for my niche or for my audience that would resonate with my readers to say that they would find relatable? For at least I know my audience well enough to say that that the more scandalous question cloak and dagger ones, as we saw with the Mother's Day, if the woman was wrong or if the husband was wrong, I know for at least my audience that they wouldn't go for that. And so if you respect your audience enough to know what they would like versus what they wouldn't like, whereas the article that we found about the foods that would be better for you than a therapist, that is a very clever copywriting. I know my audience would respond to that because I've tested those kinds of copies with them before. I would put that in my inspiration board to say, how could I use this for my industry? Does anyone have any questions? I know we've covered a lot in the last little bit. Does anyone have any questions about magazines, about group boards? Go ahead and stop sharing. If you do, please ask away. If you want someone to help you with your Flipboard, if you want someone to walk you through setting it up, just send me a message and let me know. I'd be happy to answer any and all questions. But one of the things that I wanted you to see is the transparency that so far, at least in my business, the last 90 days, it hasn't been hundreds of thousands of page views. It's been 100. And it's just the beginning because it's a brand new account. And depending on what you see for you and for your data, it's something that doesn't take a lot of time that is worth your efforts to try to create the diverse source of traffic, especially when it comes to building your email list, which is a platform that is not based on algorithm. That's something that you own. That's something that can't be taken from you. And so creating your resources, creating those storytelling headlines, creating that helpful content, pulling people in. At least I know for myself, I'm on Julia's email list. And so when she sent out an email this last Saturday with cat poop in the garden, I just grew a garden this year, and that is something that I am looking for. If she were to pull that as a headline for a flip to say, is this, let's say brainstorming, is this appearing in, is this popping up in your garden? Here's what you actually want to get rid of. And then it would link to the article, and then it would talk about things that you would need to look for in that garden. Doing that storytelling curiosity headline would allow people to say, I need to know what's in my garden and what I can't have to help my garden grow, or I need to know what it is. It's that curiosity. It's wanting to make sure that you're doing everything right and you have everything that you need to reaffirm in your mind that everything's going to be okay, and to get that helpful guidance to say, okay, here's the cat turds that are coming up. Here's everything that you need to do to get rid of them. Because the one thing with Julia and her community is her content is extremely helpful. All of your guys' contents are helpful. And so it's getting people who need your content, bringing them to your site, because what you have to share with them is extremely helpful. You just need to find them and market to them to let them know that what you have is going to help them solve a problem. And the way you do that is by diversifying your traffic sources, but by tapping into that innate human desire for curiosity to pique that interest, to say, what am I missing? What do I need to do? Is my garden okay? Or is my homeschooling schedule okay? Or is my children learning schedule okay? Or what, are my cows okay? Whatever niche and industry that you're in and wanting to tap into. And then in your content, serving them so well, they'll keep wanting to stay. They'll want to sign up for your email list. They'll want to continue to have that relationship with you because you've helped them the first time. So Let me know what questions you have, friend. It is, like I said, Flipboard is well worth the time and experience in getting out there to get things started. And like I said, for those 90 days, it brought in the 100-page views. I'm going to be testing more with headlines, and I'll keep you updated on how things are going over the next 90 days for Flipboard to see how the traffic builds up. For the content creators that I have followed and I have learned Flipboard from, they have expressed that for them, it was anywhere from 6 to 9 months. And I'll also share another link and resource to help you with Flipboarding to get you started, and share other strategies that other creators are using. So that way you can decide the right one for you, because your time is valuable and you have a lot of people that you want to help and serve. And so it's just a matter of getting and finding them on the different platforms that they're on. So that way you can bring them back to your website so you can help them and serve them in that way.